All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RedactCast, a podcast that's mainly freeform, where I'll be bringing on different guests each week to just have a discussion about something that either I know, they know, or we both know. This week, talking about game design with an actual game designer, with my friend Anthony here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey y'all, I am Anthony Ramirez. I am a game designer currently working at both my own company, Arc and Forge, and another company as a technical designer, White Moon Dreams. And I'm also Alex's former professor for game design.
That's how I know it. That's my connection.
Yeah.
I took one class, two classes with you, actually. Yeah. What was it? I took Intro to Game Design, which was a board game based class, and then something intermediate game design or something that was like online. That was a complete shit show.
Yeah.
I mean, so was the board game one.
Was it though?
Our group wasn't. Our group was on
your
point.
Your group was fine.
But the rest seemed like a dumpster fire.
One other was really good. The others sort of not so much.
Well, was it one other group that was really good, or was it one other person?
One other person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a rough class. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, so that's how I know Anthony, and because I was the good student, I kept in contact with Anthony, and yeah, I was able to bring him on today.
It's true. The good student.
The one of five.
Yeah, 1 of 5. That's right.
Yeah. Oh man, that class. Second time. Did you like anyone else the second time around?
Actually, there was a lot more the second time around that like showed. I mean, okay, so the weird thing is that first class is a very intro to game design. And everyone sort of jumps in it thinking, "Oh, hey, cool, games are fun. I'm gonna jump in and get this done." But what they don't realize is there's actually work that you have to do, and game design isn't necessarily always fun.
It was a lot of work.
So, you know, they sort of like fall off near the end or during the middle. They find out they don't really, want to make games; they just want to play them. So
yeah.
Either some drop and are like, okay, that's not for me, or others will stay actually interested. And then the others will stay, but won't want to do any work.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But the second class, everyone is there because they've already taken an intro class for design and want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot more students who were more active and just, more willing to talk in general.
Yeah. So what does a game designer do, like in a professional sense?
What do I do? So I would say to start off, the best purchase I ever made was the Microsoft Office suite, so I can use Word and PowerPoint. Because I make documents all day long. Well, so there's like a bunch of different types of documents that are needed for any sort of situation, whether you're, just introducing a mechanic that can be sort of like a free-form document versus coming up with like a monetization plan for a game, that requires like a whole different thing. So, I guess most of the time it just depends on what I'm trying to do. But for the most part, I'm either making a PowerPoint presentation or a Word document.
I see.
That's just like, trying to get the most out of whatever needs to be done. So in the situation where it's like I do have to like make a mechanic or anything like that, I'll usually start off just by, thinking. I don't really sit there and have a Word document open and type everything on it, but I'll instead just, I'll chill for a bit. I'll play some games on my own. I'll just do some thinking. And then once I sort of like have what's right in my mind, I'll start listing off all sorts of ideas on the document, start going into more detail for them. And yeah, it's a very, so it's a very different experience, because usually when you're working, it's sort of like, okay, you're working from this time to this time, you're doing something. And I used to be a programmer for about 5 years, working as an independent contractor, and I really went from that into design. But when I was a programmer, I would spend a block of time programming whatever my task was, and that was that. But for design, I can't just sit there and just type up a storm for all these brilliant ideas, because it's just not how it works. There's so much research that goes into design. Like, even if you have an idea what you want to do, like as a player, like what feels right to you, you'll never really know until you do the research for whatever you're trying to make. Because for example, if I wanted to make a mobile monetization scheme for like a new game, it would, like, as a player, man, I just want to unlock everything for free through playing, right? And I don't want to have like anything where there's like microtransactions. If we threw a game without microtransactions on the store, like, or maybe not even ads, players would be like, oh, that's cool, and then be done with it. And then we just sort of sit there and make nothing out of it. And unfortunately, game design is all about it is all about the players enjoying the experience, but you do have to realize that it's about making money.
It's that balance between like making sure the players want to play, but also making sure you can get paid at the end of the day.
Yeah, and so a lot of what we do is trying to make, if it's not just like a premium game where you just like buy a full single player experience and you actually have something like, battle passes or microtransactions in your game, you want players to, feel good about wanting to purchase that stuff. And the way you make it feel good is by making it fun to play, but also not feel necessary. So I guess that's just like a monetization thing that I know a lot of people generally don't like to hear.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to especially mobile monetization or microtransactions or anything like that, it's got players generally thinking they're a negative thing. And at one point I would have agreed that it's completely negative, but I don't know, the way that a lot of microtransactions have come up over the years, and like how they're presented in games and what they actually give you for the value, it's like, as a player, I love microtransactions. Especially for free to play. I feel like they're just fun. Like, if I can get into a game, really enjoy it, and then drop like $10 to show support and get like something really cool, awesome.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun.
No, I get that. And I remember you mentioning too that like mobile game profitable ones, like making a game.
Yeah, mobile is where the money is, but you're also going to have a much more difficult time getting it to work, especially if you don't have like a major publisher behind you.
I see.
But yeah, if you're backed by like major publishers for console or PC games, yeah, the game is generally going to be, successful, at least, a certain amount. But if you just go sort of like indie and you just sort of release something for premium, it's gonna be rough for you. But if you go to mobile, even if you get something that's like, say it's just like one clever mechanic, and you have like ads and a microtransaction to get rid of ads. If players genuinely enjoy your game, some will either get annoyed by the ads, which is generally the strategy for that. Annoy them with ads and get them to just, put like $2 in to get rid of the ads. Or some players will just be like, it's fine. Either way, you as the developers are making money off of it. And that is unfortunately like the free to play games that don't have like major microtransactions and just go super into ads. That's like more of the scummy side of mobile, but honestly it works because like you can get one of those games out within like from pre-production to launch like 1 to 2 months with like very minimal effort. I mean, you can look at the top free on Google Play or the App Store, and it's like you tap to jump, and that's all you do. But you'll find yourself watching like 10 ads over 5 minutes. Well, not that ridiculous, but you get the point. There's like banner ads, there's ads you watch, and if you can get just some players to watch the ads and some players to purchase the small remove ads feature, I mean, it's pretty much a success, especially if it's just going to be like a 1 month turnaround.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. And then also like, because you said you started as a programmer, as a freelance programmer. So like, how'd you make the jump into game design, and also just how'd you get into the industry like as a whole?
So, as far as getting into the industry as a whole, I was going to Norco College. I took the whole design track that they have there, understood design, but realistically wasn't getting any jobs out of it. So then I went on the programming track that they had there, picked up Unity, C#, and by the end of it, I was finding contract work just through resources through the school. And it sort of just went on for so long. And then at one point I decided to go into further education, go for my master's in game design. And while I was in there, I sort of paired up with my business partner, Tim, and we just started a business. And so we sort of just made our first game, Fetch Force, as sort of like our thesis project. We were trying to prove a couple of things. Mine was mostly dealing with tutorials, and his was with haptic feedback. And so we were able to create a very small mobile game that we ended up launching on iOS and Android. And yeah, that was a fun little jump in for like my own game, because that was like a game that I started probably about 4 years prior. Basically, when I started doing the contract work for programming, I had like this little green cube that had a smiley face on it, and I could rotate it around with my phone. And I was like, oh, that's neat. And then put it away until an opportunity came up to finish that. And so yeah, I ended up finishing that. But then after I got my master's, Tim introduced me to White Moon Dreams, and they were looking for a designer. And yeah, they sort of just brought me on. When I was working for Arc and Forge for like about a year on my own, we ended up having a couple of projects. Unfortunately, one sort of fell through like mid-development. That's a whole story on its own that I don't want to get into. But it basically that's for independent. When I was an independent contractor, it was mostly on mobile games. And so during that time, I also had some design experience too, because sometimes clients would want to just like get some feedback from us, or suggest some things. And so it turned into me doing some design work in there, and a lot of like UX work, user experience, and so that really just like bolstered all of my design knowledge. And so as I went through the masters and with all my previous like knowledge from the Norco classes, yeah, I just sort of kept learning more and more about design. And so all that time that I was a programmer, I was trying to learn everything I could about design, until I just understood enough, and I started making like core features and monetization methods and all of that for other people's games. And yeah, I got that experience, and it ended up being something that White Moon was looking for.
I see.
And so I now have quite a bit of design experience under my belt professionally, and I keep learning more and more every day. But I am pretty confident in like my design sense now. Even though like a lot of the times you'll see me, it's like, oh, there he is playing games again. Like it looks like I spend all of my time playing games.
Just a little bit. I only see you on Steam, like, either Steam or WoW, like 20 hours a day.
Yeah, but it's like when, like I was mentioning earlier, it's like when I need to design something, the best place for me to go is just into other games. And so I really enjoy just jumping from game to game, especially games that are like relevant to what I'm working on. A lot of my research is honestly playing the games that are similar to what even if it's just like one mechanic out of something, I need to do that. The other part of the research comes from actually looking at, sales figures and like actually a lot of reviews. Because like you can never be too sure about what people like unless you look at not only sales but reviews. And not all good games are great research points, and not all bad games are bad ones. In fact, I look to generally poorly reviewed games all the time, to find out what does work in those games, because some people enjoy them, and even players who end up not enjoying them and leaving like a negative review on Steam or somewhere, there's usually something that players did enjoy about it. And so we can get even just a little bit of information about what they enjoyed from that, or what they really disliked about the game. It's all useful knowledge.
Yeah. And I've definitely like looked at games completely different since I started taking like more game design focused classes. Like, for example, like when I was playing through Hollow Knight, originally, like if I played through a game years ago, I'd just been like, oh, this is a fun game. But instead, like when I was playing through it, after I had some game design knowledge, it was more of, okay, why do I like this? What about this do I like? Why does this feel so good and not just like any other game experience? Because it really is just another Metroidvania, because you're just looking around a region, you're pretty open world, you can go where you want, you can route how you want, but it feels so different. And the reasoning is because the characters are so fluid. The story is there if you want to find it. The tutorial was just so fluid that you didn't even feel like you were learning anything, but just naturally felt like you were picking up everything, that every new upgrade or item, it just felt so good and everything worked together so well. And I feel like that's just obviously like an testament to like how they designed their game. And obviously just game design as a whole, just it's such a deeper level than what you originally look at. Because like you were saying, you can have an idea for a game and you can be like, this game is going to be fun, but then you make it and everybody's like, why did you make this? This is terrible. And it's you can't just look at yourself when you're designing games. You definitely have to look at everybody and everything you can. And the research aspect of game design does seem like a really strong and important part that people take almost for granted, like how much research goes into making a game before just making it. And
yeah, and that's something. Sorry, that's something that I really like to stress in my class is market research.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you like, really. It's about what the client wants. It's about the goals of the game, the pillars. It's never always going to be about what you want. Sure, you can put stuff in that's like, oh yeah, I would love this as a player, but there's also times where you're just like, yeah, I'm not really going to like this, or I'm not this type of player. So what do these types of players actually enjoy? And so you learn a lot of that stuff just by, research.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of research.
It's actually because I kind of like every kind of game. Like, I'm not a huge fan of RPGs, but RPGs are a very big game, like, in a subgenre or a genre of game that hundreds of millions of people enjoy, but I don't. So I still have to, I feel like I push myself to play RPGs just to get an idea of, okay, why would someone find this fun? And look at it in someone else's like perspective, and talk to friends who really enjoy RPGs, see where they enjoyed the RPG experience, what they got out of it, and find the little bits that I liked to almost cater for people like me who aren't huge fans, but giving them something to play through.
Yeah, and so okay. So actually, I am all for that. I will not touch horror games though. I cannot deal with horror games.
Don't worry, I'm in the same boat.
And so if I need to ever make a horror game, I will gladly just step down. It's like, I don't know how they work. I don't know what to do. And I'm not really willing to put myself through trauma, because I get scared so easily.
Yeah.
It is not fear is not an enjoyable emotion for me. And so
I completely understand.
I hope I
also don't touch horror game. I definitely talk to other people before I play horror games. I'm just like, so why'd you like this game? Oh man, I was scared the whole time. Why was that fun?
I love that.
I was like, I don't understand the thrill behind this. I like enjoying the game and just wanting to progress, not stand in a corner and hide for 20 minutes.
It's like I get scared enough playing WoW and like watching a number drop and just like I'll scream.
Oh no! Yeah, that like guttural reaction when you take damage.
Yeah, it's like.
So here's a question from chat. Have you taken any psychology classes to like help with game design, or like do you think that would even help?
So yes, it would absolutely help. I have not taken any psychology classes though. A lot of what you learn just as you get like a formal game design education is psychology of players. And so we get to focus on a lot of how to gauge what a player enjoys, what they're like, how they act in certain situations. And so while I don't have any like actual psychology education, there's a lot of concepts that we use that I don't even know the name to. But it is insanely important to know how your players are going to act, react, and just deal with any situations that you come across. What's going to be intuitive, what's not going to be intuitive, what do you actually have to teach players versus what are they just going to pick up on their own. And so if I did learn more about psychology, yes, it could be helpful. But only in that I would know what I'm actually using.
I see, yeah. Here's another question. What would you consider the hardest thing to do in game design? Like, what's the hardest point of your job?
Hardest thing to do for game design.
So I'll let you think for a second. So like for us as like students of game design, our hardest point was just coming up with ideas, because when you have a blank slate, your mind doesn't know where to focus on. And once you get focus points, everything becomes a lot more easier. You have direction, you know what to work towards. And then if something you find out doesn't work, you're able to change it to make something working. But getting that first idea was definitely our hardest point when we were designing both the board game and the actual digital game.
Yeah, so I'll agree with you mostly there. I wouldn't say it's the hardest thing, but I am not an ideas guy. If you give me a system that already exists, I can work on fixing it. I can work on getting it to work as a core system. But actually, like, coming up with the idea for it, is a little bit difficult for me. But the hardest thing is always kind of new monetization. Especially for mobile, because that's where I had a lot of experience in making monetization. It's the mobile market changes, and how popular games monetize is always changing. So I think the biggest challenge is when you try to come up with a monetization method is like, what's new, what's trending, what's gonna be trending in a few years. How do you update it so that it'll work with your game? Will it work with your game? Because one of the biggest things about monetization is it needs to be directly tied into the game design. So it's not just, oh yeah, we'll make money by adding some microtransactions here and there. It's no, you have to understand your whole economy. You have to understand what the value of $1 is to, every little aspect of your game. It's balancing that so that players don't immediately cry, pay to win, but it's also, hey, how can we get the most out of this where players will want to spend the money? And that all, again, has to be tied into the actual game design itself. And so if the monetization scheme isn't directly tied into the core gameplay without making it pay to win, with the exception of gacha games, that's just, they're meant to be pay to win. It's, I don't know, it's really difficult just to find that balance and make it work with your game, because you can battle passes are a big thing just in general now. Call of Duty has it, Apex Legends, just battle royales in general, as well as other MOBAs that are sort of getting into the battle pass model. It's a popular model, but it doesn't work with every game. So it's important to sort of gauge what will and won't work for your game. Some things are just better for, more PvP based games. Some are better for single player. Some are better for, this and that. So there's a lot that you can do with monetization that you can easily mess up on. Because like if you can go back and like adjust what you're doing for monetization, but coming up with that initial plan of, hey, these are the microtransactions that we're going to have. These are, this is how this is going to work with this mechanic. This is how it'll work with this other mechanic. That finding all of that stuff is really difficult, but it's really rewarding when you finally finish a plan.
Do games ever change their monetization scheme after release, or is it usually like once it's up, it's up?
So when a game changes its monetization scheme after release, it's generally in the form of a like a major update where it's like, hey, we're rebranding all this stuff, or we're gonna change all the game modes. And you'll often find, what game was it? God, there's so many that especially recently sort of like transitioned into a battle pass for games that have already existed. I know like Dead by Daylight started including a battle pass like about a year ago. And like originally it was just you played games, you earned the currency, and you can buy whatever you wanted, but then they brought the battle pass in one of the updates, and it's just been there ever since. And so do they still release paid DLC with that? Okay. But that's more like themes of different franchises and stuff like that.
Exactly. New killers, new survivors, all that stuff.
And so the battle pass is likely just a way to keep players playing. Battle passes are insanely good for progression systems. Like I'm actually currently, I started recently playing Warzone, and if it was just play the game to have fun, it'd be like, oh yeah, it's fun to play with friends, but after each match I see my level go up, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I unlocked this, and
Yeah, battle passes just overall they seem amazing for retention, because I got the same kind of hook from Warzone last season, because there's a character I really wanted, and I was like, oh man, if I get the battle pass I can get this dude, and then like 10 levels down the line I get this thing, and then 10 more levels down the line I get a crow. And so I was sucked in, and I was like, I just have to play at least until I get to that point. After that point, whatever, but I need to get to this point.
Yeah, and the fact that battle passes are always working with seasons now. It's like, yeah, you can get all this stuff if you play a lot, but it's limited time.
Yeah, you have 3 months to get it. Have fun.
Yeah. The crazy thing about Fall Guys in particular is they could have charged for their battle pass, to be honest. People would have bought in, but they have a free battle pass.
Yeah. And I still fell off of Fall Guys. I feel so bad. I loved Fall Guys so much. I just haven't played in like the past couple months, because I was just like, there's not enough new in Fall Guys, I feel, to keep me around.
The recent update added so much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I still haven't played it that much because I was too into WoW, but I imagine and now that I'm not so into WoW, I'm gonna, probably get into that. Now that I started getting into Warzone too, I'm a multiplayer kind of guy, so I need friends to play with. If I'm not playing with friends, I'm like sitting on my computer, like scrolling through memes.
That's fair. Fair. Being a lonely person, I have definitely done many Warzone matches solo because I couldn't get anyone to join me to hop into squads. So I'm just like, it's fine, guys. I'll just earn my battle pass points on my own.
Yeah, for me, it's like, oh, if I'm not playing with friends, then if I do something cool, will it even matter?
That's why you record everything. I always have my recording going. I'm that guy.
No, I can't. So I used to record everything that I would play. And we have a friend who used to make like monthly videos of things that happen. Between all of us friends, we send all our clips to him. He builds a video, and I just got lazy because I didn't want to sift through them to find out what was good and what wasn't.
That is the hard part.
But I would record it.
Yeah.
And it was like, here, have this dump of videos that you have to sort through. And so
Here's
I just sort of stopped because I didn't want him to do that. Yeah.
9 hours of it's just me sitting in silence. But find that 1 hour, it's golden.
Ooh, yeah. Just want to answer Brad's question real quick in the chat. How important is it for a game designer to know programming and art? If it's essential, how much should a game designer learn or know? Know at least one of them. If you try to get into design without knowing at least one of them, I mean, I would argue that knowing a bit of programming is better for a designer than knowing a bit of art. If you go sort of the art route, you're insanely great for like concept and like level design and stuff like that, where you actually need to visually make something look good. But if you go the programming route, that's where you can like help build systems and like really make it easier for the programmers to do their job. Because you can have an idea and be like, oh, it's this awesome idea, this is how it's going to work, and everything works well in your head.
Yep.
But if you can't explain that to someone who's actually building it, well, what's the point? It's never going to be exactly what you want, and if it isn't, and you have them go back, it's like, oh, it's not quite that, it's like this, and then he tweaks it, or they tweak it, and then it's not quite there, and it's like, oh, just tweak this and that. You can get into that cycle for a really long time. But if you can build like a technical document explaining how everything is going to work, then like it's just that much better. I feel like it, as a programmer or as a designer with programming experience, it's helped me immensely, just because I can write stuff that programmers will have fewer questions about.
I agree,
because you just have a lot of I have a lot of experience building a lot of gameplay features, and so Often when I design a mechanic or a system, I think of how I would build it programmatically and then use some of that language to actually make it work.
Yeah.
Because I can throw out game design terms all the time, and I can say, oh, well, this is going to make the player do this, but they don't really care about that. They don't need to care about that. It's not part of their job description.
Yeah.
I can understand that, and I can put it in like a GDD or something if I really want to, but when I need to make like a technical doc for a programmer, that's completely different.
But yeah, because I have a story like that basically leans into that. When we were doing the game design class that was about building a game, my group, it was consisting of me, who was our programmer. Basically, I was the only one who's taken both game programming as well as C++ and Java, so I had a pretty wide understanding of programming, or very, like, not deep understanding, but I had a basic understanding. I can use it, and I could research and understand documents to then program what I need to. And then we had one person who worked, or two people who worked in art, and then one person who didn't really have any other background besides game design, which we all had a game design background because we all needed it to even get into this class. And so when we were building our game, the idea we went with was the person who was just solely a game designer, and he wanted so many different things that me as a programmer, I was like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. We can't get this to work. And he kept requesting certain, like, oh, we need these power-ups. Oh, we need to put this in. We need to put this in. And he just didn't understand, especially it being a class and having a limited time frame. Because I think it was, like 8 weeks to build a game. And he just didn't understand the time that we needed, especially if we wanted to get multiplayer working, especially if we wanted like any number of maps besides one. He didn't get that. And then even he even took up the mantle, like, you know what, here, I'm gonna focus on level design, I'm gonna build levels. And we were all like, cool, you build levels. He didn't understand even how to build levels because he had been so separated from just Unity and like the building process that he didn't know how to put together maps. And so the maps he created were generally less well received than maps that I built or maps that another person built, because we had been hands-on with Unity and getting an idea of like what tools we could have, what we could do. I had an idea of like what programming terms I could use or functions I could use to do certain mechanics, like moving objects or breaking objects. And so he almost became like trying to oversee things, but in a way that wasn't beneficial at all. And it's because he just couldn't talk to us about anything, because we didn't know what he wanted or like how to actually do what he wanted.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you sort of expect, like, if everyone's at the same design experience going into that class, that everyone sort of understands about the same stuff. But one of the biggest things that can go wrong with that is just what happened. It's scope creep. You have a designer that, want the world to work exactly as they want, as they imagine. But it's not that simple. Like, every little thing in the world is going to be, something that has to be built in some way or another. Like, even if you were just like, oh yeah, this level has a bunch of fans and you can like jump between them and they like blow you all around, it's like that's a whole thing. Or like I can imagine someone you have one designer who's like, oh yeah, I want portals, and it's like, okay, you want to just be able to like teleport from one place to another. It's like, oh no, I want to be able to like stick the gun through the portal and like shoot and like pull out. And then it's like, okay, hold on.
Yeah, like it's one thing. Like, that's a perfect example, because that was actually something that was brought up at a point, and it was one of my ideas because it was something I knew how to do. And I was like, what if we have portals? And basically, if you we have two different colors, like red and blue. If you touch a red one, you get taken to the other red one. If you touch a blue one, nothing happens. However, you can just shoot through the blue one. And from a coding perspective, that's just, if it's a bullet and it hits the blue portal, move it here really fast and then let it continue its trajectory. Or if you're a player and you hit the red portal, move over here really fast and then continue, doing what the player wants you to do. But then the idea got shot down because the guy who was his idea, he was like, well, I feel like if we're gonna do portals, we should have it so that you can like partially go into a portal and peek out. And I'm like, that's so much harder, especially for a base level class on game design and programming. That's not something you just do. That you want Portal and Portal 2, which is a AAA game to say the least. Like we can't do that. So that whole idea got scrapped basically.
Oh, that's like the difference between knowing especially knowing like what your team can do. That's really important just for managing scope. Though that often comes up to the project manager, which now I have quite a bit of experience in as well, since I was doing that with Arc and Forge as well. Knowing your team's limits or like how long everything is going to take will help you schedule out quite a bit. So actually that makes probably the most difficult thing then would be jumping into a new company and like trying to design something and helping with like a schedule for like what everything's when everything's going to be done. It's like, well, I can tell my stuff like how long it's going to take me to design this or do that, but I don't know the programmers. I don't know like, are they senior devs? Are they junior devs? What's their burn rate for like building something simple? What's how much QA is generally needed for one programmer's thing versus another's? And so yeah, that's actually really difficult, jumping into a team and like just managing scope. And so that actually is what makes classes where you actually have to build games really difficult, because everyone's coming in basically as a junior of all disciplines, and everyone expects like, oh yeah, you can probably get this done in this quick. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I could do that. And then everyone realizes no, they can't do that, or they just don't want to do that.
And it's definitely like when that comes up, the best thing you can do is just communicate with your team, because like constantly checking in, updating, seeing where everyone's at, what everyone's doing, it allows and making sure you're focusing on what you need before what you want. Both of us combined really, I feel at least, really help streamline the process, because for us, we had 4 people to build a game, and so daily almost I'd go, hey, this was your task, how's it coming along? And if they were like, yeah, I'm almost done, cool, how many days do you think you'll need? Maybe like 1 or 2 more. I would always be like, all right, we're gonna assume it's gonna be a week, and if it's done before that week, cool. And then once we finally got like all of our major points done, we were able to break up tasks into more of like refining, making things look nice, but definitely us bunkering down and focusing on like, how do we get this to a playable state was our first goal. And once we got that, it was okay, now how do we make it look nice? How do we make it feel better? What do we change to make just the experience better? And that just all came down to conversation and discussing with one another, and not stepping on toes, just understanding that we're all learning still and trying to make the best of what we get.
Yeah. And that all works great until you have someone who's like, oh yeah, it's almost done, and they actually are just like about to crunch it all at the last second.
Yep.
So
hello,
that
was
works.
Me. Ooh. The only programmer. I was like, I can handle this. Last week, I need to program so much. I think it took me like 6 weeks to get multiplayer even remotely working. Because it was a local multiplayer. It was just hard for me to understand. It was a whole new set that I was never given any guidance on. So I watched like 40 different YouTube videos, all of them telling me to use different things, all of them using different versions of Unity, and I'm just like, time to figure it out. And I had to jump in, and it was rough, especially since I was the only programmer. I also had to do the rest of the programming tasks. I couldn't just focus on multiplayer. Like, if I could just focus on multiplayer, I would have been stress-free, because I would have trusted someone else to, focus on movement or shooting or whatever. But I had to do all of that. So it was very much it was terrifying being in that position. Luckily, I was able to trust like the two people. Like, hey, can you just do all art assets? I need this art asset. Can you get it back to me? And they like, I was like, can I get a brick block? And they're like, here's some bricks. Thank you. But oh, man, yeah, no, I game design's terrifying sometimes because it's so overwhelming when you are on like when you're the focal point. Because if you can't get it, no one else can get to what they need to do.
Yeah. Basically, everything has to be planned out ahead of time. And then I'd say the worst part about being a game designer is not necessarily the most difficult or anything. The worst feeling that you'll get. It's finally built and you know have a prototype, and then it's just like, oh, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I expected. And It's not a programming fault. It just doesn't feel good as a system.
Yeah.
And so, there's plenty of time, especially in early pre-production or even in like the beginning of production, where that's okay. Yeah. That's what prototypes are for. But you start getting down the line and it's like, oh, this really doesn't feel good. That's when you start to have a problem, and that's when deadlines get extended just to get one more prototype in, and that's where things really generally go wrong. It's like companies will want to make the best game possible. I mean, everyone wants to make, that next big game.
Yeah.
And have everyone love it, but if you're not confident in it, others won't be.
Yeah, exactly. It's also just it's so demoralizing when you have an idea and you're like, this is going to be amazing, and then it does get built and it's not. Yeah. And being able to push past that, I feel is a really important part of being a game designer. Every game you come up with isn't going to be a hit, but you need to move forward and fix it or make it better or just scrap the like know when to say, all right, this idea is not going to work, we need to do something different.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, that's when things start to fall apart. Made the mistake again. I'm sorry. I need to stop streaming to YouTube. There're just people there. There are people on YouTube who can find me. It's fine. We back. Cool.
Yeah. Alright, so oh my god, I just fucked up my hair.
Talking about falling apart. Don't worry about it.
Oh my god, everything's ruined.
It's fine.
Yeah, so forgot where I was, but yeah, your idea can fall apart really quickly, and it happens, and it's okay. If you're a game designer out there and you want to really make it work, don't become discouraged when your first or even 10th or 1000th idea turns out to be garbage. You will have bad ideas.
You will have a lot of bad ideas. And it's also nice, like it's important to have both friends and people just around you who are willing to call you out on your bad ideas. Because there have been so many times I would tell someone like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And they're like, oh yeah, no, that's great. That sounds great. You should make that. And then I'll talk to someone who actually knows what they're doing. And I'm like, yeah, this is my idea. And they go, that'll never work. Have you looked at this game, this game, this game, this game? They all flopped. And I'm like, you're right. Thank you.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, no, that's why a lot of my ideas I've like thrown at you. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And you're like, don't do it. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Just like, let me just gather up 10 reasons why you should not do that.
10 reasons why you should just quit.
Number 4 will surprise you.
Do you think a history-based game is a good idea or no?
There are lots of history-based games out there.
Assassin's Creed is technically a history-based game.
Technically, yeah. Yeah, I think there's always a room for basically any theme. It just depends on the mechanics that you throw at it. I mean, let's take Assassin's Creed for example. They actually have quite a bit of historical significance in a lot of their games, especially in trying to just get like the time period right and everything like that. but man, you run around just stabbing people.
Yeah, no, like you do not like the architecture in a lot of the Assassin's Creed is so accurate. But how often are you staring at houses or buildings in that game? Besides when the game's like, look up there real quick.
Funny story. Judy Perry, one of the instructors at Narco, when she taught her game design class, she actually a couple of times went to Florence, Italy, and she played Assassin's Creed 2 beforehand, and her and her students recognized where they were at because of the game. Like, it's a one-to-one representation of Florence, Italy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they were actually knowing where they were at. It's so cool.
Yeah, I had when I went, because I went around the UK and just all of like Europe on vacation one year, and what my like main points was, I was like, I need to stop at Florence. I need to see where Assassin's Creed was. I need to be there. My friend I went with was like, okay, fine, whatever. And I went, and I was so happy that I could see everything, but so sad because it wasn't as bright and colorful as in the game. And also, I was like, I can't run on rooftops. There's not hay bales everywhere. But I still like, I love the city, like the architecture, and like I really appreciated what the game did. But man, I will never go back to Italy. It just was not fun. Italy was it was not fun for me. Also, Venice, it's just too hot. Venice is so it was terrible. It was, I was so disappointed by all of Italy. Dude, I could talk for hours about that trip and how much Italy does. I was so hyped for Italy, and it failed all expectations.
Oh, that sucks.
It happens. So if the story is mainly based in IRL history with very little veer off, how well received do you think it would be when the story centers on real history?
I think there's other games that have done that before, right? Like some of them, I don't want to get this wrong. Is it Medal of Honor that has done that?
Yeah, I think so.
Some of the Medal of Honor games are based in, you know, real historical time periods. The only thing is, you know, you're not really playing as a real person, probably, but only as someone who can view what was happening at the time. And so it's perfectly fine to make a game that has like a true historic representation of a time period. I
feel like it'd be very hard to do a strict representation of a time period, though, because like with game, like the whole point about games is that, you know, user experience. Users get to experience something that they can't really do that. And if you have a game that's very strict about like, this is what happened in this battle, do exactly what happened in this battle, that's just not fun. You can read a book about that. You wouldn't want to pay money to buy a game to replay a battle. You know exactly how it went. But they're like, you know, world tanks and stuff where you're using historical tanks and, you know, whatever other machinery they had to battle other historical tanks. There's fun in that because you're replaying a battle, but it's not going to exactly pan out. It's just going to be a fun, you know, experience. You get to play in the setting. It's just not strict. And I feel like the more strict a game is, usually the less fun it is.
Yeah.
Which is also why I think a lot of games nowadays are going towards open world, which a lot of games aren't doing open world correctly, and it makes me sad, I feel like. Because a lot of games are like, yeah, here's open world, here's this whole place for you to explore, and then they just put a bunch of stuff around for you to like, kind of go to, but none of that has any significance. Yeah,
that's the worst, having an open world game that feels empty.
Yeah. And a lot of games now are also focusing on like, look how big our open world is. It's huge, you know, it'll take you an hour to walk from one side to the other, and it's just like, okay, but what can I do in that hour, like walking across?
It's like, I don't want to walk for an hour. I actually want to play the game.
Yeah, also when a game goes, here's a massive map, but no fast travel, that's also just, it hurts my soul. As soon as it's like, yeah, there's no fast travel in this game, so you mean every time I want to go there I have to run there? Yep. I'm not playing your game, I'm sorry. Oh man. Do you think playing as an assigned real person would be an interesting perspective for the player?
I think that would I feel like it would make the game worse than it has to be. Because if you do want to, actually be that real person and have their perspective, you have to be true to what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more you sort of like direct them to do exactly what that person did, the less fun of an experience you're going to have, because you're just going to, be playing someone else's thing. It would be too linear maybe, or, something like that. But if you want a perspective of a real person like that, and you want their full story, that's what movies are for. That's what shows are for.
I also feel like
documentaries are for.
Yeah. I also feel like real people, though, do make really good side characters. Like,
oh yeah,
Leonardo da Vinci in Assassin's Creed was a fantastic idea. Everything wasn't perfectly accurate to Leonardo da Vinci, but it was very close to how you could, like, there are writings about him. That's very close to how you would picture him being, and you get to be his friend, and all of his inventions he's letting you try out, and it's just cool. I think
it's super cool.
Yeah, and so like you can have real people in your game and have their real story, but it's more fun to play alongside it rather than be it.
Yeah, agreed. Like, even if your main character has, like, the character you're playing as has their own story, they have a voice, and it's not just a, project yourself onto this character and, you are the protagonist.
Yeah.
Like, it's still cool to just play along in their story, meeting some of the people that you actually know because, history.
Yeah. And it's also interesting when a game does the opposite. When there's a historical figure, how he is, but they twist it. Because I think Assassin's Creed 3, which was one of the ones I stopped playing because I don't like any Assassin's Creed after Ezio. Sue me. But I do know in Assassin's Creed 3, one of the DLCs they released was basically you got to interact with, I think it was George Washington, but he was a dictator. So it was like evil George Washington. And it was like almost like battling, I believe, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was like basically like you were kind of battling out with this dictator instead of the very peace-loving man and freedom-loving man that was George Washington, that everyone knows as George Washington. And so I was like, that's a really interesting twist, because you're not only playing with a historical figure, you're seeing how things could have been different. King of America DLC, yeah, thank you. But man, also, yeah, sandboxes are fun, and I don't disagree. I love Minecraft. I'll play Minecraft for hours. However, a sandbox means that you're interacting with the world. You are changing things. Open worlds, a lot of time, don't let you change that much about the world.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of open world games, to be honest.
Yeah. I remember we were talking
mostly
about,
because they're single player games, and I can't do single player games.
Yeah,
I get so bored so quickly.
We were talking about Cyberpunk, and I was like, yeah, you probably know something about Cyberpunk, and you're like, I didn't touch it.
No interest.
I was so sad because I was one of the people who was like super hyped about the game. I ignored a lot of the trailers and everything, so I kept myself pretty blind to it because I was like, this sounds like a cool RPG that I may be able to get into. And as I said before, I'm not an RPG person. Picked up the game, paid the $65, streamed it for 3 hours, and the entire time I was like, this feels like a normal RPG. Like, yeah, there were bugs, yeah, there were glitches, yeah, there was visual whatevers. That didn't bug me. I'm like, this game just came out, there's gonna be problems. Building a game is not easy. So I understand that. AAA games, you expect higher quality when on release, but whatever. But I was just like, the gameplay's not that fun. There's nothing different about it. This feels like a GTA set in the future. In GTA, I stopped playing because GTA just got boring as well. And I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right. And then the skill tree section of Cyberpunk was just really bad because... Sorry. I know the humor behind it, but so the skill tree system in Cyberpunk had things like most of it was like percentage upgrades. So like you could upgrade your pistol to do 5% more headshot damage. However, if you played the game, you could just find a pistol with 95% increased headshot damage. And you're like, why would I spec in and put 2% on this gun for a skill point when I just found one with 95%? And it like that was everything on the tree. Everything in the tree you could basically find in the world easier.
I mean, I can argue with that it's for that little extra boost, even on top of that. Like, it may not seem significant at first, but later on down the line, when numbers are getting big, I mean, those percentages are, pretty significant.
That's fair. So what would you say makes a good skill tree?
Well, so honestly, skill trees are sort of dependent on the game. I think probably the most prominent skill trees that I can think of come from WoW, both or aging from vanilla skill trees to what they have now. Borderlands, especially the stark difference between 1, 2, and 3 and how they were built.
I could talk daily about Borderlands. We'll talk Borderlands after this.
And League of Legends with what they had as skill trees to what they are now. And you can generally see a trend going towards, instead of going like, skill points into one thing, it's like, here, select between these few things and you'll get one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's generally what WoW does now. I mean, so when WoW first came out, for those who don't know, you had so many points and you would put it into these skill trees that would buff stuff like, your Frostbolt does 2% more damage, and you put 5 points into that, and now it does 10% more damage. And then at certain breakpoints, you would get, hey, now you can grab this extra ability, or now you can grab this unique passive trait that happens as an interaction with a couple of your spells.
Yeah.
And that was cool, except it made it so there were cookie cutter builds. You could always say, okay, well, I'm just going to put the points here because this is the best. This point's here because this is the best. And they just work for every situation. And especially when you have like a cost to change your specs, it's like you're sort of committing to something for quite a while, and that's not something that you easily change. Whereas now in WoW, you have like 7 different tiers where you can select 3 options, or between 3 options on each of those tiers. And yes, there is like a best for raid, best for dungeons, best for this, best for PvP. But the goal is to be able to decide between the goal is to be able to make it so all 3 options are, great for you, but it never really turns out that way. At best, usually you can just have to decide between like 2 of them, where it's just like, you sort of just pick what you want here, whatever suits your playstyle best. And I think going more for those decisions feels a lot better, especially since especially now in WoW, to change your talents, all you have to do is like be in a rest area. You don't even have to pay anything. You're just in a rest area, or you use an item and you can change it anywhere. It's just that's it. So having a system like that really makes your decisions for a skill tree feel a lot more meaningful. Now, that's not to say that, in Borderlands 3, even though they have more of a traditional skill tree system, and, you do put multiple points into one thing to make it stronger, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad, because what they do is they do have like major upgrades in them, or major like they just work with other abilities, they work with other
Yeah.
players, they work with certain types of guns. Like you can generally determine what your playstyle is and then just build for that. And if you want to try something new, it's pretty cheap to respec.
Yeah.
And pretty easy to. You just go to a quick station and you just do it.
Yep.
But I think it's those unique interactions that players tend to go for that really makes those skill trees good. But I think the biggest thing that helps is on all of your equipment, you can also, get bonuses to the skill trees. Like it'll be, hey, you get
+2 to this stat. Yeah.
Yeah, you get two points in this one skill, or it's fun because you can also just like super buff one, or maybe get something that you normally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And so when you tie that in to like all your equipment, where your talents are working with the equipment that you have, it's a much better system. But there's no way you can do that in WoW, where it's like you have the old point system and the gear now has talent points in it, because their balance is going to be mostly around the primary and secondary stats instead of adjusting talents. But Borderlands, you can just be like, yeah, screw it, throw a bunch of stuff at them. And one of the biggest things about Borderlands as well is it is a single player or cooperative game. You can be busted in them just by having all these ridiculous combinations of abilities, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it like embraces it. Like it's like we want you to be ridiculous. We have guns that just shoot guns,
Yeah, exactly.
It fits its style very well.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because you can just become overpowered. But if you look at WoW or League, since I mentioned that earlier, you can't have that same thing.
No.
Especially for League, like you just choose between sort of very WoW style. You now choose, instead of point-based stuff, you do it, choose this from this tier, and you just keep going down. You choose from 2 different like role types, I guess. And you just get some talents from there. Yeah. And so it still adds that customization that it used to have, especially in combination with the rune system that you used to have. I think it's just called the rune system now for your talents.
I think so. I don't play League. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't either. I was a Diamond 3 player, and then I quit because everyone was so toxic. I was just like, I can't handle this anymore. Everyone was so mean. I was just like, I just want to play the game. So I still do like League. I just can't stand the people.
It surprised me too, because like I was Norco's esports president for a while, and we had a League of Legends team. And I was like, yeah, no, we're gonna build a team. It's gonna be a great time. We'll all be fine. Our players were toxic, and I was like, why? You are working together. And it was just like they were yelling at each other. There were problems in like, I was just like, because I played basketball. I did not like half of my team when I played basketball. But when we were on the court, we worked together. We didn't shit talk each other. We did what we needed to get done, and we won games. Our team wants to just talk shit about each other the entire time, make each other feel bad, and they wonder why we get L after L after L. And I'm like, I actually have a question about that. Do you feel like, what do you think bred that toxicity in like League?
Ranked.
Do you think just ranked play in general does that, or just League specifically?
Everyone thinks that they're challenger material, but they're not. And so whenever a team makes mistakes, they generally think that they wouldn't make that same mistake, and so they're like, well, I'm better than all these players, why am I stuck here? And so you generally just get I say generally, you just get this very toxic attitude where it's just like, I'm better than where I'm at, I know it, so I'm just better than everyone else. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's so annoying when you come across those people, and it happens in every game with ranked. Like, okay, every team game with ranked. I mean, you have Valorant, you have CS:GO, you have League,
Overwatch.
You have Overwatch. Like, everyone is better than they think they are.
Yeah.
Except they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think there's a way, like, game design related, that like can not, I'm gonna say, can fix ranked?
No.
Do you think just ranked, and just the word ranked is just gonna get people that way no matter what?
Yeah. And that's the thing too, because it's not only ranked games where people are toxic. Like,
yeah,
I've been playing Warzone. I've been called.
Yeah, now I've gotten some names too.
Jesus.
I'm like, we're solo. I found this gun 10 seconds ago. Why are you so mad?
No,
yeah.
I don't get it. Like, yes, it's competitive, and yes, it's very fast paced, and you know, you die, you're out. But how can okay, so actually, that's a lie. I can understand how you take a game so seriously. I used to be pretty damn toxic.
No.
Yeah, so I was one of those, okay, not super toxic gamers, but I did think I was better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was, but
in what game are we talking?
League, Overwatch.
Oh, all of them.
Anyway,
so you just across the board. I see.
I was just a better gamer than everyone.
I see.
It works like that.
Just a fact, yeah.
Yeah.
Luck has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no. So I would often get salty. I wasn't the type to like lash out at people, but I think people could generally tell when I was annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's actually a curse I have. I can pick up a game very quickly and be pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Faster than most of the people in my friend group, and they can get annoyed.
Yep.
I don't get salty about things anymore. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to play a game with friends to have fun. But I have gotten comments before like, oh, yeah, we think you're mad at us because like we were doing it. I was like, no, I'm just happy to be playing.
I'm just like, I just like games now.
Yeah, I enjoy games for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, get salty anymore. But like I was at one point. And that's really when I was like pushing ranked in League. And then it was about that same time where I was like, you know what? All this toxicity isn't worth it. I'm playing alone and not enjoying my time with friends.
Yeah.
So what was the point? And so that's when I decided, to just change that stuff around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, I mean, I guess I don't really still get it. Like I was there at one point, but I still don't get like why anyone would be so mad.
Yeah, there's a lot of just like, and it's almost become like a meme, just like the angry gamer, the one who's just always yelling at everybody.
All, like a really bad.
That's the problem though. Like it gives us the bad rep, but you go into a game with like any number of randoms, you're gonna get someone like that, and it's like
exactly, yeah.
It's like a stereotype, but it's not, because there's enough to make it true.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those cases of the vocal ones always like are the ones that are remembered. Like, your extremists are the ones that everyone looks at as like the bad seeds. And so you're not
like, okay.
Good.
So in Warzone, I think one of my favorite features is if you have an open mic, when you kill someone, you hear like a second of their mic.
Yeah.
Let's trash talk you.
Yep.
I've never killed someone and they've been like, oh, nice shot.
I got a guy like that. I hit up because I was doing solo Warzone, and in solo Warzone, if you have enough money, you respawn.
Okay.
So Me and this guy were in a firefight. I killed him. I went into a building. I heard the parachute come down. He grabbed all his loot. I let him grab all his loot, and then we had the firefight again, and I won. And he goes, "Dad, fine, good game," and then he just leaves. I'm like, "Oh, that was pleasant. This was a nice person." It made the gaming experience for me that day. But that's definitely not the norm.
End, it's like,
you don't get that as the norm.
You snipe someone and they're like, "Oh, a little bitch." Like,
you're like, "I'm sorry that you were running out in the middle of literally open fields."
Yeah, I don't know. I love that feature because you can. I love hearing like the screams of people sometimes.
You definitely get like a quick like sense of the person. What is this person like as you kill them?
If I could understand you for 1 second, what 1 second would you give me?
Yeah, exactly. It always makes me laugh too when I like kill someone and then you hear like the little squeaker go, "Ah, dang it!" And I'm like,
yeah, I've come across some of those where it's like, "Oh,
ah, hackers." Excuse me.
So, I say some of the stupidest shit. I've been thinking about putting my open mic on because, like, if I die, I'll usually be like, "Ah, beans."
Beans.
So, yeah. And that compared to like being trash talk, it's like, "Oh, you're trash. You're trash." It's like, I just killed you.
You know what? I think I'm gonna put on an open mic in Warzone, and every time I get killed, I'm just gonna go subscribe to Epicus Redacted, and just see what happens.
You get follows and just like people coming in your chat to flame you.
Yeah, just like, "Man, you suck at Warzone." Hey, but you're here.
Drop that follow.
Oh man. I have another Game Design question actually.
Yeah.
So, I know you play a lot of Mario Party.
Yeah.
My question is, why do you think Mario Party is going the track it's going with the more cooperative play / like their most recent one, which was very almost linear / like kinda it was weird. I don't know how to describe it really, but why do you think they're going that route instead of going like the route that like was almost always 100% positively received?
So when I think it was Mario Party 8 came out,
yeah, I think it was the first one where you had the cart, I believe.
Yeah, you were all in the cart together, and it was just like, it felt so bad.
Yeah.
Because you just got rid of that whole board play where you're just like, you know, and especially since the tracks were like super linear, it was just you all moved and you rolled and, you know, you suffer the consequences and eventually you would land on a mini game and you'd play it. The mini games were great. The, you know, method of, you know, actually moving around the board was garbage.
Yeah.
Everyone loved being able to roll your own die and like move individually. So I think with Super Mario Party on the Switch, they actually they improved it just by going back to you know, how it used to be. But
it almost felt lazy too, because there was 4 maps and all of them felt like one was literally a line. And then the rest were kind of like just a bunch of circles connected. Like the old Mario Party's amazing board design. There were so many different paths. You know, it was such open. Like you could go where you wanted, try to find your best route. But
yeah, and you could I mean, this is a very small thing, but like even the tracks like curved. Like as you walked along them, and it felt like even in Super Mario Party, it was you know, you only moved in one direction at a time. It wouldn't like be any like clever circle movement. If you wanted to move around in a circle, you would move around in a square.
Yeah.
And so that's such a small thing, but it's like it definitely changed how the game felt. And you're right, it did feel lazy. I still enjoyed Super Mario Party, because I usually win anyway, but
it's also not like if you have any game knowledge of Mario Party, it's not hard to win Mario Party. it's like you have to be decently good at the mini games, kinda, not even really. You just have to be slightly better than your friends. Coins don't even matter. It's just how fast can I get to that star before the rest of you.
I don't know. You get them bonus stars in, and
yeah, and then considering bonus stars as well. I think because other Mario Parties had like 7, and you'd randomly get 3. I think Super Mario Party had 3, and you get those 3 every time. And that was my problem. I felt like it was like a minimized Mario Party like 7, we can say. And
yeah, I expected more. I fully expected with, Nintendo Online, there could have been maybe some online. I mean, I know that's like a whole other feature, but they could have had that. They could have had, DLC. I would have paid for more maps. I would have
100%.
They could have done so much with that, and they were just like released it and was like, well, we're done.
I don't even think it ever even got an update. It was just like, here you go.
No.
And like it hurts because I do enjoy, like, if I have friends coming over, like, a drinking night or whatever, we'll play some Mario Party mini games. We won't do a board. We'll just do like the random mini game ones because that's where the fun was. The board, we're all like, it's 20 turns of us clicking, waiting. Like, it didn't feel like there wasn't enough there to enjoy the boards. Even the ones where like that, instead of it being a line, it was the tiles. Even that didn't feel as fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the only way I'm going to be able to get one of my friends to play again is if we only play the mini games.
Yeah.
And even then, I think they might not play with me. Like, okay, so when I say I pick up games easily, and I'm usually the best one in the room.
Yeah, no, I remember. I would win Fall Guys matches until you played with us, and I would no longer win Fall Guys matches.
Yeah, well, you're good.
What? I mean, you're not wrong.
No, that's like the. I think. Hold on, let me.
God, I would love to play
comment from the other day.
Mario Party with you and see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I can show you how I win.
Yeah, I would love to see.
This comment from my friend Jeremy. Someone was like, "What's Fall Guys? Do we used to play this?" And he said, "It was that simulator for watching Fizzawop win as he sits at the finish line dabbing."
Yeah, I remember this. I was it hurt, but like it was fun. And you're like one, like, because I'm pretty good at games too, but you're definitely someone I admit, like, a lot of games that I've played with you, you win. Even the game I built, you won a lot of the time. And it was never like, I never got salty with you because every time you win, you just have that stupid laugh. and so as soon as you win, someone else will start laughing, and then someone else will start laughing. It was just like, God damn it, we can't be angry.
I just enjoy things now. I think that's my secret.
Yeah, no, I also think just you're better at games when you're just having a fun time, because when you're trying to be super competitive, you suck. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's when you slip. Yeah, because you're trying to do everything perfectly, and nothing is like. Sometimes things just aren't up to your standards, and then you're like, you just get tilted a little bit, and then you get tilted a little more, and then
it just.
But you just play to have fun. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's amazing that a game can facilitate so many different responses from players. You have people like you who, like, you win, you're like, all right, cool, let's move on to the next one. And then you have people who win and they're like, I'm done for the day. And they're just like, it's crazy that game just like facilitates so many different emotions for so many different people. And some games just like everyone hates. And you're just like, those are the games that die. Once everyone's angry, it just stops playing, unless you're League of Legends. Then you make money forever, apparently.
Man, my account is worth so much.
I was talking to one of my friends, and they were judging me because I spent $35 on marbles on stream. And they were like, wait, don't you play League? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how much have you spent on League? He goes, $1,000. I'm like, don't you talk to me about my 35.
Yeah, I've easily spent like $1,000 on League, and I haven't played that game in like 6 years.
That's what I hear from people. This is the consensus. It's like, yeah, I stopped playing. but I have like $1,000 in the game.
So there was a Lux skin that came out, and it was like one of their legendary ultimate skins.
Oh no!
And it was like, oh my god, Lux was my favorite character, and this looks so cool. I logged in and I bought it. I never played it. League.
Yep, yeah, that sounds right. I mean, I've done similar things with Smite, because I played a lot more Smite than I ever played League. But like, I got into Smite when it was like in like alpha, and I got the God Pass, and I was like, oh man, this game's amazing. Played for like 2 months, stopped playing. Came back when it was in beta. I was like, oh yeah, this game's still great. I have all the new gods. Let's just play a bunch of stuff. Stop playing. Then my friend got into it. He was like, hey, let's play. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I started playing with him, and like a couple weeks later, I stopped playing again. He kept playing, and then I came back later on. I'm like, this game's entirely different. I don't know any of these gods. I don't know why. Where's my all these items I used to get? And he's like, all those are gone. They removed all those items. What are you talking about? And I'm like, I feel like it just felt so out of my element. And it's
I jumped into Smite early on as well, but I couldn't get my friends into it. And basically, my whole goal is, if I want to play a game, I need to convince my friends to play the game, and if I can't convince them enough to like keep playing, I quit.
That's fair.
But you'll often find, I mean, that's what happened with Warzone. I was like, okay, so with Warzone, I actually started playing it as a joke. I was watching a couple friends play Apex Legends, and I played with them a few times. I did okay, but I didn't enjoy the gameplay as much. I love Call of Duty's gunplay. I think that's what really sells it for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I like Call of Duty's gunplay. If I played Warzone, I'd probably pick it up, be good at it. And they're like, yeah, probably. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. And then, well,
yep.
Yeah,
it sounds about right.
And then I was just like, yeah, when are you downloading Warzone to play with me? And then I pressured one person, 2 people, 3 people. I'm working on getting everyone. I think I've got like 4 other people who actually play with me now.
Okay.
And yeah, basically, if it's a cooperative multiplayer game or a team-based multiplayer game, friends love playing with me.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, let me know when you play Warzone. I need some more wins.
Yeah, and then it's like, if it's competitive, I feel bad when I do this, but like, if I can generally sense that people are getting annoyed with me winning, I'll like throw a game or 2.
Wow. Anthony, have you ever thrown a Fall Guys game for me?
Not for you.
Oh, thank God.
I have been at the front, and like, my friend Randy was like, give me a win. And I turn around and grab someone behind me, and then he got a win.
That's fantastic. But that's like, that's just being a good person. You're like, especially with Fall Guys, like, where unless it's the last one, you're gonna make it. So why not, make sure your friend can get that one number 1.
Yeah.
I've also thrown the last game before. It was me. We were doing the new Jump Showdown, and I remember because there was 3 of us left. It was me, my friend, and one random. And I go, dude, have you won a game yet? He goes, no. I go, I got you. Grab the dude, got hit by the thing, he went off. And he was like, what? He got the win.
So when I tried to do that for a friend, because I was like, it was like down to the same situation. It was like 3 of us, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna grab him and make him win. Grabbed the other guy. I grabbed just a little too early. He pops out.
Oh no.
And then my friend got distracted watching me trying to grab him, so he got hit off.
Oh no.
And we both just lost.
Oh no. That's the worst. I mean, I'm glad they Fall Guys fixed their grab mechanic, because it used to be terrible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It was so unreliable. You didn't know what was gonna happen. Now it's at least semi-consistent, which is nice.
Ooh, I did figure out a trick with the egg the egg matches.
Oh,
So you know how if you get grabbed with the egg, it pops it up into the air.
do you let go of the egg?
You just fucking let go of the egg.
Yep, 100%.
And it drops in front of you.
Yep.
They let go of you. You walk forward, pick it up, do it again.
I have also done this. My new egg strategy is also I am a defensive attacker. I pick one person that I'm like, you are going to lose this match, and just chuck eggs out. I don't even take them back to my area. I just jump, throw, and just.
Yeah.
My goal is to make sure one team ends with 0 points, because if that's not us, we win.
Yeah. Oh my god. I felt the first time we got a team have 0 points. Man, I felt so bad for them.
But you feel so good at the same time.
Yeah, it was great. It's like we were second place, but it didn't matter because they had 0.
Yeah, you're like, you can have 1, but you had 0, so we win. And it's also cool because a lot of time, especially in that situation, like say I'm picking on yellow and I'm blue. Red will see me picking on yellow and just kind of let it happen. They won't interrupt. Like they, you know, like if you go in and try to grab a golden egg, usually people, like everyone jumps you. Every color will try to attack you. But they see me just tossing out eggs. They'll see me toss out a yellow egg. They're just like, okay. And like they'll set up people to catch and take to their area. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. The red can have all the points as long as we have 1. It's funny, like especially with it's an interesting dynamic with team games, how like bonds form just in situations like that, where it's almost like mutual assured destruction. Like I'm gonna make sure you succeed, I'm gonna make sure I succeed. We're gonna both take out this one person.
Yeah. So, funny story. I really love the rollout game where spinning log.
Yep.
Just like yeah. I love grabbing and killing people in there. It's super easy. One time I was trying to grab and kill someone. I failed. He tried to grab and kill me. He failed, and we sort of just stared at each other and then ran off. We were like, okay, we're good.
Cool. All right. Like that's the one side of like games that like people don't really see. Like they focus on like the angry gamer, but you don't realize like how quickly teams are formed and like friendships are formed in games for like random reasons. Like if you and another troll want to do something, you guys will like bond over trolling. And
it's
amazing.
I get that. And like there have been times, especially in like I think there was a Apex Legends match where like I ran into someone and we just like we both like jumped and got scared or something.
Yeah,
I know I got scared. Like I screamed and I was like spraying all around, and we both just like we both emptied our clips without doing like any damage to each other, and we just like sort of shot our second clips, ran out, we did some damage, we were just like, you know what, I'm gonna go this way, and we just like, okay, we just left. Yeah,
without even speaking, you're just like, I'm gonna
like, you know what, this is embarrassing for both of us, let's just forget this and move on.
Maybe we'll see each other in the final 5, you know, we'll see.
Probably not with our aims.
Oh god. I remember too, like when I used to play like actual Call of Duty, like not Warzone, but like the multiplayer. I think it was like Black Ops 1 or 2. There was this funny thing that you can do where if you held 2 pistols and you crouched and you switched weapons really fast, it looked like your character was swimming. And so we would just, me and my friend would pick a spot on the map and we would just do that. And like a surprising number of matches, we would have the entire lobby doing it with us by the end of the match. And we're just like, why? Like there's no, like, you know, there's that drive to want to win. But people would just stop killing each other. People would stop trying to capture flag or whatever we're doing in that match. It's just like we're all fucking around in a corner for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think a good like, I can't think of the word, but one of these situations that happened in WoW, just sort of like chilling in the main hub, and then you see like someone on this really easy to get but weird looking like frog mount. And he's just sort of walking slowly around the area. And then someone gets behind him and follows and just walks slowly around the area in the same mountain. Soon you have like 30 people
train.
Just like waddling on these frogs. And like
we
didn't communicate. We were just like, oh hey, look, the train. I mean, we just.
That's the thing though. You say that for WoW, and me not playing WoW, I still like I knew where that story was going because there's so many games where that thing happens. Like someone just does something, someone joins, everyone joins, and it's crazy. All right, so here's a question: what's the worst game from a design perspective that you know about? Fallout 76. No, I'm just kidding.
No, because
it's not the worst.
Has players. It's easily ET.
Oh, right.
So well, I mean, the thing with ET is
it makes no sense.
You didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's just literally nothing there.
If you had knowledge of the movie, you didn't know what to do. If you had knowledge of the game, you barely knew what to do.
Yeah, no, because like it didn't even have anything like in the original like booklet that came with it. You just didn't know.
Yeah. And so that is probably the least intuitive game. And because it doesn't have any sort of instructions to go along with it, it is the worst designed game.
Yeah, because there's not, I don't even think there's like text in that game besides like the intro and the conclusion. It tells you
like a score text at the top.
Oh,
it's like numbers.
Yeah, I see. Your score goes up. But that's the thing. Like, I think I remember playing like the original ET on like an emulator. I just square, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? And it's you literally spend an hour just wandering, doing nothing, and then you lose, and you're like, it was weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree with you that I didn't even consider ET, but that's a fantastic idea. Or
why is Bubsy 3D so dang good?
I don't even know Bubsy 3D.
You don't know Bubsy?
I don't know Bubsy.
You don't know Bubsy. Okay.
I don't know Bubsy. Oh, he looks familiar, but I don't know Bubsy. I don't think I've ever played Bubsy. That's like oh my god, that's an interesting looking game. Oh
I haven't played it
myself,
but yeah, it's. I mean, Glover is a game. I'll tell you about Glover.
Glover?
It's pretty bad. But I love watching speedruns of it.
Glover? Oh my god, what's
Dude, Glover? Yeah.
I've never heard of
You're
Glover.
You're a glove on a ball.
Oh my god. I love how I googled Glover. The first image is the hand on the ball. The 30 after it's Donald Glover. Yeah. Half of them shirtless. This is fantastic. And then one female, and then one other random dude.
Yeah, I see that.
That's fantastic. You forgot Crispin Glover? I don't know who Crispin Glover is. You tried it in Defeat Evil Glover. I saw a streamer play it last Wednesday. I might have to try to speedrun this game. This looks fantastic.
Honestly, it's a great speedrun game.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That might be on the docket. But, look, it's gonna be on the docket. We did Red Ball this week. We can play Glover.
I remember I was learning to speedrun Bomberman. One of the ones on the N64.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it's called.
How do you speedrun Bomberman?
So there was actually like a story mode and actual levels in this one. Like, it wasn't just like the Bomberman box and you know kill the other players. It was like you had actual enemies and a story and everything, and it was a full-on platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it was just Bomberman 64.
I see. Did you know there are kids so rich they have only ever had Apple products, including at school and work, so they don't know what Minesweeper is?
Dude, Minesweeper
is a classic.
I feel bad for anyone who doesn't know what Minesweeper is.
One of my C++ assignments for it was like CIS 17, I think. Our final was to program a classic game using C++, and I was like, I'm gonna do Minesweeper. I didn't realize how
Ooh.
difficult programming Minesweeper was. I was like, this game is so much more intricate than I thought it was. But I basically ended up programming it like the overall idea was you spawn your 10 by 10 grid, then you pick 10 random points. You can't duplicate points using like a function to check if it duplicated any points. And then once it chose the 10 bombs, every single space then counted how many bombs were around it. And that was your number system. And I was like, this is how I'm gonna do it. Not really connecting either that Minesweeper also has the fact that if the first square you click will never be a bomb. So my game, you could get a bomb on the first time. It was a very low chance. Technically, it was only like it was 10%, so it's actually kind of high. But you could just lose right away.
That seems like fine game design.
It was beautiful.
Lose without having any information. It's great.
Yeah, it was great. But I also I didn't realize until like my last day that I didn't program in if it's a 0 that it undoes everything that's a 0 or next to a 0. So there was a few times where I was like, this game is great, and then the last day I'm playing normal Minesweeper and I click a thing and like everything it does, I'm like, oh no, I didn't realize. My god, it was insane. Also, yes, we noticed question 4 wasn't a question, so I skipped over it. Question: is there 2 to 3 games that you feel like have great game design? Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight's always gonna be my go-to for game design discussions because it's just so good.
Because I cited sequelitis in my master's thesis, Mega Man X.
Yep, I knew
Mega Man was Mega Man in general. I'll get to that question in a sec. Great game design. Oh man.
Instead of trying to do 2 to 3 games, why Mega Man X?
Okay, why Mega Man X? It's because of its tutorial.
Yeah, I mean I know this, but to explain it to the people.
So the tutorial in Mega Man X,
so beautifully done. It's so beautiful.
It teaches you everything one at a time, in a very intuitive way, where at first you're introduced with an enemy, only one little enemy rolling at you. You'll learn one of 2 things. You'll learn what button it is to shoot. You'll learn 3. You'll learn what button it is to jump, or you're gonna get hit and realize that if you touch things, you're gonna take damage. And so, it just goes through the area. I think one of my favorite parts of its, tutorial level is when the ground crashes, because you kill like a little mini boss and you have to figure out how to get out. All you know at that point is, hey, moving right is moving forward. And so if you try to move right and you jump at the wall, you'll notice, hey, I'm sliding down the wall. Maybe I can try jumping again. You just keep trying that, and then you'll realize, oh, hey, I can climb walls. And there's absolutely no prompts at all. There's no, help text saying anything. It's just you figure it out as you go. But everything is introduced in a very safe way for you to learn. And they're even very generous with, hey, if you're getting hit by a lot of the enemies that you're coming across, it's going to drop a lot of health for you. So that, you finally defeat it, and okay, now you can go into the next encounter with full health. It also teaches you, hey, if you explore, you're going to have some secret areas that you can get new items at.
I think the one thing that really stuck for me, because for those of you who don't know, Anthony used to be my professor, and this was actually a lecture of his in one of the classes. The one thing that really stuck with me was that the fact that the button that you used to start the game, was I think the A button, and it when you click start, he shoots out a little laser, and that's just telling you it's almost intuitively telling you hey, if you press this button, you're gonna shoot. And so when you're in the game, you press that same button that you use on the start screen, and he shot a little little burst of energy. He shoots a little burst of energy in the game, and I'm like, it's insanely genius And it's such a minor detail that you're not going to pick up on unless you're looking for it. But it's just so amazing. And it's just stuck with me since that lecture, honestly. It keeps me up at night, Anthony. I'm just like, my God, how do I become so smart? But no, it's actually insane. Like, the Mega Man is definitely a game I do want to actually have a chance to play through, because I've never actually played the original Mega Man.
Get the Legacy collections. They're fantastic.
Okay.
They have the Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 on Steam. They also have the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. Mega Man Zero Legacy Collection came out sort of recently. They're all good games, except for X, 7, and 8. Just don't. Just don't.
Makes sense. So
and don't be fooled into thinking, what's it called? Shit. Oh my God. What was it? Hold on. I have to find this.
All right.
Mighty Number 9. Don't ever think that it's actually a Mega Man game. Holy shit, that was a bad game.
Oh no.
It was made by the creator of Mega Man, but everyone wanted just Mega Man gameplay. So
I remember hearing about it.
Sort of worked that way, but it didn't
feel. Yeah, I remember this. It was like a Kickstarter game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was super in.
All right. So for our final question, because we're almost up on time, what is the best game you have ever played within another game? I have two that come to mind, because it's like the only two games I can remember playing inside of another game.
Okay.
One is the OG Celeste at a terminal in Celeste. And that one was fine. It's probably not my favorite. My favorite, though, the one I spent the most time in, because I spent hours playing this, Black Ops 1 Dead Ops Arcade. I played a lot of Dead Ops Arcade. Because I was shit at Black Ops 1, so I couldn't play multiplayer. I was shit at zombies, so I couldn't play zombies, but I could get my friends to play Dead Ops, and I was good at Dead Ops.
I'm trying to think of something that, like, I spent the most time in for, like, a game in another game. I played a bit of Virtua Fighter and Yakuza, but that's cheating, because it was just a Sega machine. I need to be reminded of some.
I need to be reminded.
Games that exist.
God,
games.
This game designer doesn't know every game ever made. God, bad game designer. I don't think there's any others that I can remember. I know at least two games. I mean, I know Animal Crossing 2. You can play like all like the
you can
NES
play like
games.
Any games. Yeah, I can't think. No, I can't think of any, to be honest.
Club Penguin, all the mini games.
No. We can't count mini games. Otherwise, I'm going straight to Neopets.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'm like the Matrix game and the Daxter game on PSP. I never played a Jak and Daxter.
I liked the first one. I did not like when it went open world.
Interesting.
Ratchet and Clank, though, sign me the fuck up with Ratchet and Clank. I loved those games.
I only played one, and I have been told multiple times it was the worst one. I played All for One.
Oh.
That's everyone's reaction. They're like,
man,
I'm sorry.
Oh. Yeah, see, first Jak and Daxter is very good. Second went to open world, just like, that's not what I wanted out of it.
Yeah. Third is
Ooh, Spyro, though.
I hate Spyro. I'm gonna be honest. I remember as a kid loving the game. I play it now. I'm like, this game is so
We're
boring.
Up on
Pretty much, yeah. No, because like I was super excited to replay Spyro because this like it's on Steam, like all 3 of them. I played it. I played the first one. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm super excited to play it again. I haven't played it forever. I was playing it. I was like, it's kind of a boring game. And then I played the second one, and I'm like, I like this even less. I didn't even touch the third one. But it hurt me because I remember growing up loving Spyro.
I grew up loving Spyro. I played it again. I still loved it. I just there's something about collectathons that I just go crazy.
I think that's my problem too, because I'm not a huge collectathon person. Like I do like collecting stuff to a point. But like I didn't grow up on collectathons. I didn't play like I played I think one Spyro. I didn't play Banjo-Kazooie. I didn't play like any of the main collectathons of like the generation. And so I just feel like that's not like something that's like that was instilled in me. But
all right, that's fair.
Okay, here's one question actually to finish it off because it should be like a 3-minute question. I was gonna end it up at 55. What makes a collectathon good game design wise? Like, what makes it a collectathon instead of it just being, like, boringly collecting random things to, like, oh, this is amazing?
Honestly, it's juice. Juice. It's whatever you're doing, making it feel really good. Collecting a gem in Spyro has a different sound based on how many you're actually getting, like, whether it's a 1-value gem or a 5-value gem. But all of them sound really fucking good. Where it's just like every time you pick something up, especially if there's like a line of them and you're charging through, it's like bling 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 bling. It's the same stuff you get when you're playing like slot machines or you're just in a casino in general. You get that elevated sense of, oh, I did something good. And so they just sort of juice that.
I see.
Yeah, they just sort of make it feel as good as possible to collect stuff, and that's honestly what mobile does as well. It's all about juice. Microtransactions, if you buy them, it's like it's like, oh yay, I bought stuff. You know,
it's like a mini celebration every single time, and like that just obviously in a psychology standpoint that just gets your endorphins firing, pumpy. But yeah, it's I don't know. I guess I just never got that same feeling for collecting because also one modern game that does a similar thing, Super Mario Odyssey. I hated Odyssey. I did not enjoy the game at all, and I was like, a lot of people were like, no, it's a great game. It feels great to play. The movement's great. Collecting stuff's so much fun. I'm just like. I played it. I was like, I'm gonna get just enough moons to move on. I don't want to look for more moons. I don't want to, throw random rocks to find that one moon that's hidden over here. I didn't care for it.
I absolutely love that about Odyssey.
See, and I think that's definitely like the difference between gamers is like I'm someone who just I don't get that endorphin rush from that. I get it from doing something and getting rewarded for doing something. Odyssey, it felt more like. Here you go.
Yeah, it's like I get that, but it's like every 10 seconds game. It's like
it annoyed me that's the thing. It annoyed me at a part. I was like, I'm so tired of this sound.
No, I loved it.
That's fair. All right. Well, we are going to wrap up here, guys. Thank you, Anthony, for joining me for this first episode. It was fantastic. And also, I'm so glad knowing Freeform works. Because I was so afraid it wasn't going to work.
Really good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Also, perfect time. Your camera froze.
Oh, did it really?
Yep. It's fine. It's fine. No, not on Discord. It actually froze on stream.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, there we go. I fixed it.
I see myself just fine.
There we go. Yep, you're good now. Anyways, yeah, so we're gonna be doing this weekly. I'll be having different people on every week. Next week, depending on who I can find, we may be doing a topic about like psychology or something. We'll see. And also, if we're talking about psychology, I may bring up game design because they kind of go hand in hand in a way. But Yeah, super excited to continue doing this. It'll be weekly. It'll be every week, Fridays at 4 p.m. PDT for about 2 hours, hopefully every week. And also this VOD and every other RedactCast will be going on YouTube. So if you weren't here the whole time, or you want to see the beginning, or you missed a couple questions or whatever, feel free to check it out on YouTube. Anyways,
make sure
Anthony,
stamp of the puppy.
Yeah, exactly. Would you like to shout anything out or mention anything before we head out, Anthony?
Geez. I mean, I was never prepared for that, but
yeah, that's why I never told you about it, because I didn't even think about it until right now. I was like, I should give him an opportunity.
I guess I'm Fizzlewop on Twitch. I stream very rarely, but I have 2 emotes, so I mean, I've done something right.
He plays Yakuza. I saw it one time.
I play Yakuza. I play Smash. I play just
dirty Jigglypuff main.
I'm a Jigglypuff main.
All right. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.
Right.
Peace.
Have a good one. Bye.